right. What a validated game. Do me a favor. Zander Krause, bring up the play to crow for Big Sills here, please. There it is. All right. With all that being said, the fabulous hope of the halftime, and postgame, and Birds 365. He is the face of Philadelphia, without a doubt. The face of the Eagle Nation. He is our very own Big Z, Zander Krause.
What's going on, Big Sills?
Quite an entrance, kind of like your quarterback, a dud.
My mic was muted. It was a dud entrance. Sorry about that. Great show so far, Big Sills. Herm Edwards, excellent as always. Love listening to Herm Edwards. He is a smart dude and one of those guys that you just don't want to stop listening to it.
I love him,
Good
man.
stuff,
I mean, he's a guy you want to play for. He's a guy. And again, I thought he brought something up too. I mean, just an observation from a national guy and what he was talking about. Wait a minute. Before I go there, what were your takeaways from last night's big win for the Eagles? And by the way, all seriousness, dude, that's a big win.
It's a massive win, dude.
As I said, hey, I ate my crow. I said, you have a Super Bowl roster. I said, your defense looks like that thing that we were looking for, a game to validate it. Your running game was good. And for me, your quarterback is a cab driver. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And personally, I think if you're not going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be because your quarterback is too inconsistent and at times not accurate. So, I mean, to me, I think I gave you all the kudos in the world. I think you have one of the top rosters in the league right now. And I do think you're a Super Bowl contender. Only thing that will hold you back would be your quarterback.
I don't think you're entirely wrong with that. I disagree with some sentiments that you're coming up with. But takeaways from the game, the no holes defense, number one.
It's real.
Nostradamus over here, Big Z, calling that out before the season. The no holes defense.
Halfway through the race, he's taking victory laps.
I'm not taking any victory laps, but they're playing damn good right now, and they made that rookie quarterback look like a stiff last night. A stiff. He was a stiff in that.
Did you hear what he said? He made that rookie quarterback look like a stiff. Congratulations to you. Way to wave it. I like it.
We're the first defense to do it this year.
Absolutely. But let's see what it is.
Yeah, no, you're right. But look, Zach Bond, obviously another big performance for that guy. That dude can play, man.
Can you imagine this, dude? Okay, can you imagine this? You're New Orleans. You gave that guy away for a bag of Cheetos, and you didn't know what you had in the building? Mike, Zander, I'm not going to blame them and kill Mickey Loomis, the GM, but I'm going to say this to you. If you're Mickey Loomis, the next time Howie Roseman calls me, after he grabbed C.J. Gardner away from me and he got this guy, I'm not picking that phone up, dog.
Yeah, forget Mickey Loomis. So this is Vic Fangio, dude. No other team in the league would have done with.
I'm talking about Mickey Loomis, the GM, not IDing this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think anyone else in the league would have ID'd this. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean,
yeah, but even Vic didn't know. He got him in there.
Well, Vic said, he said Howie came to me and said, I got a special teams demon for you and a backup edge rusher. That's what he told him.
And that's what sparked his ears, was that he was a special teams dude.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he made Stiff Daniels look not good last night. The corners, obviously, Quinyon Mitchell keeping guys on an island. He's playing tremendous football. And then the offense, I don't disagree with some of your sentiments. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm always going to be truthful when I'm up here. I was a little concerned with what I saw from Jalen Hurts last night. Now, where I differ from you in a massive way is I in no way will subscribe to the theory that they can't win with the way they're currently set up. I look at what he's done. I look at the roster around him. I look at everything that's going the way that we're winning football games. We can beat anybody in the league, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise until they prove it against that with my own two eyes. And I see it happen, because if this defense shuts teams out like that, if Saquon Barkley's going to run consistently like he's been, we can beat anybody in the league. And you keep saying, oh, give me a modern example. I'll give you one. I put it in the chat. You didn't want to acknowledge it. The Broncos in 2016, Super Bowl 50, Peyton Manning was 13 for 23 in that game with 2 turnovers and no touchdowns. He had 5 sacks, 141 yards in the
Are
air.
you comparing Jalen Hurts to Peyton Manning?
No, I'm comparing the
Because when you're
style of winning.
coordinating, when I'm coordinating against Peyton Manning and I'm coordinating, even though he may not have had a great game, my game plan is going to dictate because that's Peyton Manning versus Caboose Hurts. And by the way, one of the things that I said about Hurts, you're going with the notion he's not going to not be inconsistent in a game. So far this year, that's how he plays. You really think he's played consistent football this year?
I never
He's
said
been
that.
inaccurate at times and he's been inconsistent. That's the one thing that's been consistent with him all year have been those. Then you're not, dude, there's no debating it and you're not watching what's reality.
Don't do what you did. Let me do me a favor. Don't do what you did last night in the post.
The last 2 games.
I don't have anything else to say.
The last 2 fucking games, he's done it both. In 6 quarters of play, he's been inconsistent. Last night for 4, 2 in Dallas in 8 quarters, man. You're not seeing that? Can't debate with you.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that I'm acting like Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. I'm not. But I think we can win with the way we're set up right now because let's do an exercise here. You know, we were 10-1 last year, and we joke about that all the time on this show, right? How we collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that this 8-2 football team is light years ahead of what that 10-1 team was last year.
Quarterback looks the same to me.
Okay. DeAndre Swift became Saquon Barkley. Zach Cunningham became Zach Bond.
Absolutely.
James Bradbury became Quinyon Mitchell.
Well, that's true.
Avonte Maddox became Cooper DeJean.
Cool. Yeah.
Terrell Edmonds became CJ Gardner-Johnson.
I'm not debating that. The quarterback's still the same.
Yeah, but what
He's
about
still
22?
the same. What?
Why do you act like 22 didn't happen?
I'm not acting like that. He was more accurate and he was more of a weapon when they didn't have a total book on him in 22. Now that they got the book on him, he's inconsistent. And dude, one time he can throw a dime and he can throw a football through a porthole. Next time he can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Well,
I
look,
mean, those are normal parts of his game, every game.
Yeah, no, and I think where people get, confused is that we're going to talk about the negatives. And yes, if I'm talking about a negative of this game, Jalen Hurts is definitely fluctuating too much. I don't think that's unfair to say or being a hater to say. We're not doing a 10-minute clip a day where we tell you how great the team
I think he's a good player.
We're doing a 4-hour show here. There's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be ugly.
He's a good player, Zander. I just think his ebb and flows and his up. Dude, John McMullen said the same shit I did. They're too up and down right now.
Yeah, John doesn't deliver it like you do, but he might believe it even more than you do. He's concerned about the passing game. John McMullen.
He's just got to make it a little more closer. If you're going to have bad throws, Zander, every quarterback's going to have bad throws, but they can't be egregious like this and taking sacks, holding the ball. 7 sacks in 8 quarters. He's taking a sack a quarter almost in the last 2 games.
Come on, man.
By holding the ball
last game. He had 2 sacks.
Never did I. You don't think he holds the ball too much?
I do think he holds the ball too much. I just said that. Are you not listening to me?
No,
he does. He's inconsistent. He's holding on to the ball.
I'm not, because I don't know what you're looking at.
What do you mean? I watch the guy make plays every single game. He's got a couple plays a game. You're like, what a bonehead. But, I mean, dude, that's every quarterback in the league. I mean, come on. You got to call a spade a spade. I don't agree with the people who say this, about the Jared Goff thing, but it is true in a sense where you're like, sometimes you got to just win a football game. Sometimes it's not going to be as pretty as you want it to look.
Every game
Thursday night game.
Every game is a
2 games in 5 days. No preparation for the game. No practice going into the game. I mean,
you're right.
You win an NFC battle on a Thursday night, dude. I think it's a good win. I think it's a great win, actually.
No one said it wasn't. I said it was a fabulous win. I didn't talk. Well, you know what's crazy? I gave you guys everything you wanted today. I said you had a Super Bowl roster. The only thing all you guys are all fucking panty whipped about is the way I look at your quarterback.
No, you said today that we can't win without Saquon Barkley?
You can't.
Okay, well, what's this? Is this a figment of my imagination, this picture right here?
You can't win a Super Bowl without
Who
Saquon Barkley.
was Saquon Barkley on this team
You
when Jalen
can't
Hurts
win
put
a
on the
Super
NFC title shirt?
You can't win a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. Yes.
Okay, so this picture
So
must
you're
be a
trying to
figment
tell
of
me
my
you think
imagination.
Jalen Hurts is the MVP of that football team?
I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Dude, you're fucking putting words in mine.
No, I'm not.
telling you that Saquon Barkley is the engine that runs that offense,
I don't
not
disagree.
your quarterback. Your quarterback is too inconsistent. Wait a minute. Who's more consistent, Barkley or QB?
Barkley.
Okay.
So what happened in 22?
They didn't have a book on him. He was playing great. They had a great system for him. It was wonderful. By the way, he's not looked like that since. I'm sorry. I see the same guys a year ago, except they took the passes away from him. They're throwing the ball less. And I mean, he's on pace again for what he did in 2022. They're trying to resemble that. I get it, and I like it. But at the end of the day, that guy is a C student as a passer in this league.
You're looking for him to win like Josh Allen and them win.
No, I'm looking.
We're never going to win like that.
No, I'm looking for him to win ball games from the pocket, and he can't. He wins them with his legs. When he extends plays, when he extends plays, man, he extends them with his legs. He doesn't extend them with his arms.
Yeah, well, that's what
AJ Brown last night bitching on the sideline again over there on the sidelines too.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what makes Jalen good. I'm not going to sit here and critique him for that. Does he struggle a little bit in the passing game? Right. Has he been underwhelming? Yes. But is he also in a new year with the new coordinator? Yes. Is he also learning how to call protections at the line of scrimmage? Yes. He's doing a lot more.
5 years in, 50-plus games. I mean, here we are here, man. Don't you know what you got here, man, after 50 ball games? 50 ball games. We're still on the job training. Let's go. Let's take the training wheels off, dude.
You're right. Maybe we do know what we have after 50 games.
You're right.
An NFC title, 3 straight playoff appearances, over 40 wins,
and spanked by the Bucs,
and an 8-2 start this year.
Great. It got you dick in the last 3 years.
Yeah, but that's every team in the league besides one every single year. You gotta put yourself in a good position to win every single year. You're not going to win every year. Most of the time at the end of the year, you're not going to raise the Lombardi. That's just how
5 years.
Works.
If this football team doesn't win a Super Bowl, it will be the biggest disaster in the history of Eagle football because of all the talent that you have on that roster. And if you don't cross the finish line, he will be the reason.
Well, I don't agree with the last part of it, but I do agree.
Oh, I do.
If they don't win a Super Bowl,
because you don't have the guy to pull the trigger. If you want to blame McNabb for not winning that Super Bowl in 2004, you blame this guy too for not delivering.
Yeah, but if you're gonna take the approach of if they don't win it all, then it's criticism. Where's the criticism for Lamar and Josh Allen and every other quarterback that doesn't win?
Get it too. That's called being in the big leagues. Yeah. You want to be a big league quarterback? That goes with it. You don't think people in Baltimore are kicking his ass for his postseason record too? Absolutely.
Are they sitting there saying we'll never win with Lamar Jackson ever? No matter what?
I still question whether they'll win a Super Bowl with him.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. If you question that, I don't question that.
I don't question it.
I've seen with my own 2 eyes Jalen lead us there. We have a better team today than we ever had when that occurred.
I thought that was a 1-year deal. I don't think you're getting back there. Can
the team get back there? Leave Jalen Hurts out of it for a second.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the team is a Super Bowl team. I said
is Saquon Barkley better than Miles Sanders was?
Yes.
Is this defense better than 22 in your opinion?
I don't know yet.
That's fair.
We're halfway through.
At halfway, would you just assume it's the same for the sake of the conversation?
Okay. When they added Linville and they added Sue, that was like the halfway mark, kind of?
Yeah, it was toward, yeah.
Okay.
Probably week 10-ish.
I would say yes. Zander.
Okay, so if Jalen Hurts takes a small step backward, if he continues to not have turnovers, can we ride one of the best running attacks in the league and one of the best defenses in the league to the promised land. You're missing what I'm saying. You're looking for Jalen to be the elite player that wins this Super Bowl. He's not going to be that.
Okay.
I'm not looking for him to be
That's
that.
not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to show you this. Okay. Everything you and I just said, this is what we're doing on playoff games. Watch this. Watch what I'm going to do here, Zander.
I'm listening.
I think he's going to play well this game without being inconsistent. And how about this one? I think he's going to have a bad game because that's how he's played.
You see, I think that is defined by how low the lows are. Yesterday, there were some ugly plays. You know what didn't happen in yesterday's game? Jalen didn't turn the ball over.
And if they did, they would have lost for sure.
Exactly, though. That's my point.
Okay.
So if Jalen can be...
Look how close that is, though. Those quarterbacks, those big-time quarterbacks can have 3 picks, and Patrick Mahomes and Golf could have 5 interceptions and win. Jalen Hurts is never winning a football game with 5 picks.
No, he's not. No, he's not. And by the way,
when people
by the way, I know you watched that game. Jared Goff had nothing to do with them getting back in that football game. It's not like he had 5 picks and then all of a sudden resurrected the offense. They handed it to Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery and got back in the game.
He pulled the Mahomes. That last drive, he put him in position to score, and they won. That's what I'm saying to you about guys like Mahomes and those guys. Those guys can have 3 picks in a game, Zander. Jalen can't afford mistakes because his ebb and flows until Zander, if he did this, mistakes here, positives here. If he floated more like this, you're going to win Super Bowls. But his are like this.
Yeah, but I would argue that you're. I think
says it too. He's too up here and down
first
here.
4 weeks agreed because the downsides were turning the football over. You're giving away possessions, and when you're a running football team, every possession's valuable. When you're down, look, I get it. Jalen did not have his best game.
How about the last 2 weeks?
Just think about it for a second. What was his worst play last night? What was the most costly play that Jalen made?
The grounder he threw to AJ. I can't. Okay. I mean,
I can live with that.
That wasn't the only fucking play last night.
No, but there was no play that was a turnover. That was a pick six. That was a
understand sacks or sometimes? Do you understand sacks are drive killers?
He had 2 sacks last night, Dan.
Okay. Do you understand
sacks a quarterback takes?
Do you understand sacks kill drives?
I understand that.
And opportunities.
What's the average amount of sacks any quarterback takes in the NFL in a game?
I'll tell you what. It's not 7 in 2 games.
Oh, 3.5 per game, really?
Really? You think so what? You think Mahomes is being sacked 3 times a game?
I think probably close.
Here, let's see here. Yeah, they had 3 sacks on him last night. Not 2. They had 3. Night. So he's given up 8. Jalen Hurts has had 8 sacks in 8 quarters of football. Okay.
All right. And 5 of them were last week.
So in the last 2 games, he's missed about 20 passes. He's given up 8 sacks, and he's had 2 turnovers. And you're telling me you think that Super Bowl caliber type of guy who can win a Super Bowl for you if everything else on the team is hitting on A+ cylinders?
Yeah, because the team is that good. And we don't need him to be an elite player.
Well, dude, I just don't want your quarterback to not have those kind of numbers. I mean, I think you're kidding yourself, man. That's going to catch.
I get it. I watched too. We all watched the first 3 quarters. I mean, look, even the biggest Jalen supporters, come on. You watch that game and you're like, there's moments where you're like, fuck, Jalen, what are you doing there? He drives you crazy. But if the downsides are going to be a missed throw here and there, I can live with that, Sills. Okay. I can live with that. I can't live with 2-3 turnovers a game. I can't live with that because you're going to break your back.
You'll never win the final game like that.
I don't agree.
Okay, well,
we have a better defense. What again? Why did Patrick Mahomes win the Super Bowl last year?
Because he could throw his team out of trouble.
No, that's not why he won the Super Bowl last year.
They were down 10.
I'm not saying he doesn't have that.
In the last 2 Super Bowls, he was down 10 to both Eagles and the 49ers, and he came back because he didn't play well, and he made the plays that mattered.
That's fair.
He was down 20 points combined in the last 2 Super Bowls, and he ended up coming back and winning. And to the point, that guy, again, can withstand mistakes and make plays to win. Hurts, I don't think can because his swing, Zander, if his mistakes, like you said, were a throw, a bad sack, what happened. But when you're so up here and down here like this,
I just don't think the lows were that low.
You don't think 8 sacks in 2 weeks and 2 turnovers and 20 missed throws is a bad performance?
He had 2 sacks. Let's stay on the game, Sills.
So how many missed throws do you think he had last night? I counted 10 when I watched it.
I don't know about that. I think 5 or 6.
Okay, well, that's not what I saw.
He had Smith twice.
Okay.
He had Saquon on the one. I think he had Goddard a second time, and I think he had Dotson one time that he missed.
By the way, I thought one thing Dan Quinn did great. He rolled him left. Guys are atrocious throwing to his left.
Okay, look, though, because I get what you're saying, and your entire point isn't wrong, that elite quarterbacks win Super Bowls. We aren't built like that, though. We aren't built like that. And I will show you, and that's why I brought up the Broncos team. Peyton Manning, 5 sacks in that game, an interception and a fumble lost, 13 of 23 for 141. You know what the great equalizer is, Sills, for not elite quarterback play?
Yes, I do.
It's a great defense.
Okay.
Von Miller got MVP of that Super Bowl that year. Why did you just said it. Why did the Lions win last week with a 5 interception game from Jared Goff?
I completely disagree with this conversation here.
Defensive performance.
I completely disagree with this conversation. I don't know what
You're
else here.
telling me that Jared
You can't win with a quarterback.
They have 23 points on the board.
Not a chance.
And you're telling me the defense didn't win that game for them?
You cannot win a Super Bowl with your quarterback being this inconsistent.
I disagree.
You just can't. I completely disagree with this.
Do I want him to fix the consistency? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't want to be misunderstood here. I do want him to fix it. But I'm not going to sit here and act like we're not a Super Bowl contender because of Jalen Hurts, a guy that's a guy that wins at every single level he's ever played at. He's got what's his winning percentage in the NFL? 700 plus.
Great.
He's got more playoff wins than every other quarterback in the NFC East.
When does he start getting the same kind of criticism that Lamar gets then?
What do you mean? Hurts gets more criticism than Lamar.
I don't think so. Lamar's won MVPs, dude. He's a superior player, and he's going to get criticized more because he's a superior player. I mean, are you kidding here, man? Are you kidding me? Lamar's entire legacy is built on winning that Super Bowl because of those. He's going to win 3 MVP awards and not have a ring. Hoss, I can't go down like that. Or it'll be a stain like Dan Marino not winning a Super Bowl. All right, let's go to another component of it.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, dude, put the crow up. Give me the crow here, man. I want to do the crow here. Zander, that fucking kid Quinyon Mitchell is really a good player.
Oh, really? I don't think you need to eat crow on Quinyon Mitchell. You weren't really that wrong on him. I mean, you said don't draft a guy from Toledo. I guess. Is that what you're getting at?
But I never said he was bad. I would.
You just said in that moment I would have went with the Bama guy. And
I would have went with the Bama guy because he played in the Southeastern Conference versus all those kids. But dude,
truth be told, I didn't fully disagree with you when you said that. But look, Quinyon's turned out to be just an insane player. I mean, John brought up a good point about whether it's all on him, whether that defensive line had Jaden Daniels spooked last night because he wasn't even trying to get the ball to the wide receivers. I mean, if you look at the throw chart, it was atrocious. But Quinyon has just played lights out, dude, versus so many guys now this week. I mean, look at what, dude. Got to give Howie some credit, man. Look, I get it. Vic's doing a great job, but he arguably picked up the 2 best cornerbacks in this draft, and they're both on the Eagles roster. And they're not sitting. They're not acclimating as rookies. They're not Nolan Smith taking 3 years. Players. They are impact players on day 1.
I can't lie.
Day 1. I mean, that's pretty unbelievable what Howie's done. And now give him a little credit too. It took a little bit longer, but the Georgia Bulldogs are starting to play ball. I mean, it's one thing to say Nakobe Dean's a bust when he doesn't play. He might not be elite. He is no bust. He is a competent football player. He makes good plays. Does he have downsides? Does he have some things he could work on? Absolutely. Every player in the league.
Can I tell you where I'm at with him now?
Yeah.
He has improved immensely, and he's impacted because of Vic's forte being a linebacker coach. I want to see him get through a 17-game season.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay? And I want to see what it looks like on the tail end of this. okay? Because his durability has been a major issue on his development. So to me, I want to see if he can get through the season here, okay? I think Nolan Smith is showing signs of picking his game up because you got to remember, Zander, both Smith and Dean, where they came from, we're surprised and we're happy with where they are now. But at the end of the day, you're drafted in the first round, dude, and you're drafted in the third round. You need to be players like this. Fred Warner's a third rounder. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
No, I do.
But yes.
The defense is impressive, dude. I'm telling you, I hear what you're saying on Hurts, and honestly, it might feel like it's falling on deaf ears because I'm debating it with you, but it's not. I see what you see. I see the problems, but I believe when I watch Saquon Barkley and I look at the impact he's making on the team, when I look at what the defense is doing and the now consistency they're starting to show in that type of play with linebackers, with the guys up front, with the guys in every level, we have a star player right now. Every level. Quinion, by the way, Slay's still playing good football. You're not wrong that he's breaking down a little bit, but when he's out there.
How about this call here? One of the best moves that Howie didn't make was trading Sweat.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, remember they were talking.
Sweat actually might be back. What's his contract deal? Is he after the year?
I don't know if it's a 1 year or I don't know what they did because I know what they kind of made him take like a pay cut, didn't they? I thought he took like a pay cut this year and they brought him back and they were able to give him like, I think his freedom maybe at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe there's one more year on that thing.
I don't know how it works. I have to look, but
here's what he's on pace.
Great, man.
Get this. He's on pace for 10 to 11 sacks and 40 tackles this year. And you're looking at a guy who has been in the backfield and he's been a force. This guy's going to be a double-digit sack guy for the second time in 3 years. I mean, Zander, you can't get off that guy, man. You can't move away from him.
Yeah.
One of your better than hey, how about this one too? Holy shit, man. Brandon Graham last night was insane. I mean, I couldn't believe how well he was like Brandon Graham 5-6 years ago. I mean, he had a great football game last night. I was really impressed with him last night. I mean, just an exceptional game last night that he played. Really good stuff, man. I mean, bringing the leadership too. I mean, what was Graham last night? Because he had a sack last night too, didn't he, Brandon Graham? Look at his 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack last night. Look what he's on pace for. You're going to get a guy here who, how old is he? He's 36 years old, and he's going to have 5 sacks for you, 31 tackles, and you're talking about a guy who's making TFLs, tackle for losses, and he's making solo hits. I'm telling you, man, I'd offer him back a contract.
I definitely would. I think he's going to, by the way. I think BJ he might be back this year. We'll see what ends up happening with him. But I love him. The team loves him. And look, the fact is he's still playing at a high level.
I thought really John last night did a disservice to Barkley after I thought about it because I think Saquon Barkley, that same old line, remember something, 1,300 yards for Miles Sanders, little over 1,000 yards for DeAndre. Well, it's the same group, right? Well, you have to add the talent. Barkley.
I mean, it's a lesser group. Right? It's a lesser group. He lost Kelce.
It's a lesser group.
Yeah.
And do you agree with me what I said here about Saquon? Saquon Barkley is not better than Derrick Henry. However, I think he's more valuable.
You know what? I was thinking about this. And tell me if this is fair. And maybe I'm a politician riding the fence. I really have him 1A, 1B because there's such different styles of running backs.
What? Because Barkley's more of a pass catcher?
No, Barkley is shifty, in space, makes you miss. Derrick Henry is north to south, big body, a workhorse, and you feed him 30 times a game.
Who would you rather have in your backfield?
I think with this team.
No. Just
in general, I'd probably go. I don't know, dude. I might go Saquon. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. The way he's running the football.
But
listen, all right.
Henry's done this his entire career.
I'm not going to crush you for taking Henry, but can it be one of those things? Okay, you take that guy, I'll take the other. You want to take Saquon, I'll take Henry. You want to take Henry, I'll take Saquon. That's how I feel about those two players.
I'm giving Barkley more here because the quarterback's inconsistency versus, remember this, in Baltimore, Henry's the caboose. That guy didn't need him last year. He won 14 ball games last year with no running game. He won the AFC home field advantage without Derrick Henry. He's helping Lamar. He's helping Lamar. Here, when they need a play, they go to Barkley now. I'll tell you this. I'm starting to see this, Zander. I'm starting to see them go more to Barkley on screens and passes and short passes than I am them going to AJ and making AJ the focal point of trying to move the sticks. Dude, last night, how many of those big that pass down the middle of the seam he had? Where did he go? 29 yards down the middle of the field with it?
Yeah. No, I mean, Saquon, that was 43.
I mean, Barkley was last night. I think he's more valuable to the Eagles than what Henry is to.
Well, here's where I think you're certainly correct, and even some of the fans who push back on Sileo, I'd like to hear your take on this. I do think you're seeing a difference between these two teams in that Lamar is elevating what he can do as a passer.
Yes.
So much that it's almost like you just said, if it's late in a game, you don't have to look to Henry. You can watch Lamar and say, okay, he's going to make a play like he has many times. I mean, he came back in that Bengals game last week. He had 4 touchdowns. He's throwing for 300
He
truly won a shootout with Joe Burrow last week.
They are the number 1 offense in football.
I agree.
Right now. It's
I'm not quite seeing that improvement right now with Jalen. I'm not trying to pick on the player. I don't see that level of improvement in the passing game right now for Jalen. And to Sileo's point, perhaps it does make you a little bit more one-dimensional. But, I see Charlie Swift brings it up. There's Trent Dilfers. There's Plunkett's. There's all sorts of guys. Hostetlers. There's Peyton Manning in 2016. There are ways that you can win. And I think Jalen is better than all of the quarterbacks I just mentioned. And I think our team is as good as anybody.
But the time was different then because you know why? That was a centric running back era back then. You know who the MVP was in that Super Bowl that Jeff Hostetler won? It was O.J. Anderson.
Yeah.
You
had O.J. Anderson on the show.
Yeah. I mean, it was O.J. So it was a different style. But here's why I pick Henry over Barkley. And it's not because I'm going to read you numbers when it comes to rushing yards. It's this: 303 carries, 378 carries,
right.
319 carries, 349 carries, 280 carries. He's leading the NFL right now in carries at 200 carries. I mean, dude, that guy's a workhorse.
Yeah.
And he never breaks down.
There's no doubt about that.
He just doesn't break down, man. I mean, hey, what do you make of Elliott last night? I know last night you were hard on him. Did you have a time to think about it?
I did. I mean, I was hard on him, but I think here's where I think it's fair to be hard on him because just like we're hard on Jalen about moments because you say when you're in a close game, you can't have those mistakes. That's when they cost you. It's the same thing with a kicker. Dog, you can't leave 7 points on the board. You just can't. No. You're a kicker.
You can't miss PATs like that.
You can't miss PATs, dude. Like you miss a field goal or you're 3 for 4.
55, 57 yards.
I can live with that once in a while.
Yep.
He's missing field goals at an unprecedented clip. He's 0 for 4 on 50s right now. And the reason I think that's important is we talk about those games when the late games in the year, when you're playing versus the great teams in the league, the Detroits, the San Franciscos, the Minnesotas, the good teams that are going to give you a run. You got to be able to hit a kick from 50. That's when they need you the most. They don't need you to make 28-yard chip shots. They need you to put it up from 50. They're not going to drive that far every single play, every single drive when you're playing great teams. So I worry about that, but I'm also not in the camp of saying move on from Jake. I think he's been good for this football team. He's been good a lot more than he's been bad. But if this trend continues, I mean, I'm almost at a point where it's like kick a lot in the next couple of games because we need to figure out if Jake Elliott's okay. Because if he has the yips, we better go and pick up a kicker before the playoffs.
Was I wrong when I brought this up on the post game? I hope you guys check us out this coming week too. By the way, it's kind of like a mini bye here, so they're going to have some time off. No Sunday game, but the following Sunday. Zander, did it seem like they were going for like not pushing it through on 3rd and short a couple times? John was looking at some of the field goals. I was talking about just situationally when they were on the other side of the 50, where they traditionally would go for it on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, and they would go for it. Did it seem like to me that they kind of pulled back a little bit, or was I making more of it? It just looked a little conservative. I even tweeted that out that, wow, okay, they're punting. I mean, the punter is one of the least used things that we have here. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was just looking for something there, but it just seemed to me they were a little more conservative.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't think you're wrong.
NFC East game, it's a big game. You don't want to lose. Hey, and when he did go for the points, the guy with the performance failed. This is John's thing here.
Yeah.
Hey, he went for it. Hey, Sills, this is what happens.
Right.
Okay, I went for it. He failed. Would I make it 2 more out of it?
No, I mean, honestly, I like it because I think it showed more situational awareness, and that's what I basically
More of a feel for the game.
Exactly. And John is I think John, look, I love John and I think he's a very smart football mind, but I do think he's a little flawed in his logic. And I think it comes directly from the Eagles where, I'm not saying don't be aggressive. Like, I get it. Being aggressive is good and gives you a competitive advantage when you're successful and when you have good players. But that doesn't mean you just throw out any sort of situational decision-making and don't call the right play in the right moment in any given circumstance. And I think you saw more of that. Now, to your point, it certainly looked like a more conservative approach, but, does your defense being stout give you that confidence where you're like, okay, our defense right now is holding up. Let's take these points. Let's get to the next drive. Remember how many 3 and outs the defense forced last night? I mean, there was like 7 or 8 punts in that game in the first half.
Nick was probably thinking last night, shit, I could win this game 18-0 right now. Not
I
have
know.
to worry about it. I mean, so he was probably and to this point, the analytics said, and I talked to some folks on this, when Dan Quinn didn't go for the field goal and he went for the first down, Zander, the analytics said kick the field goal attempt. Go for the field goal attempt. You would have went up a score on them. Instead, what you did, Bond makes the play of the game, knocks the shit out of Daniels on the sidelines there. I think that turned the momentum around that hit. That hit.
I actually said to myself in the moment, see, if I was Dan Quinn, I would have taken the points there.
I would have taken the points too.
I said the lead and keep me in the game. Right. I don't know. I get why he went for it, but at the same time, it would have been a moment that I went conservative there. But shoot, I lost my train of thought. I was about to say something that was important, but
here, how about this? So you come away from that game, and am I wrong when I say this? And Zander, all kidding aside, and no bullshit here. The defense, I think the team has a roster that can compete for a Super Bowl with anybody in the league, and that includes Kansas City. Do you think this roster is better than 2022 roster?
I do. I really do.
Where's your advantage?
I think the linebackers are better. TJ was good, but TJ wasn't versatile like this.
Those guys had 300 tackles that year.
Oh, Zach Bone already has 102.
Okay. So you think that they're better than those linebackers?
Well, look, and you know this, not all tackles are created equul. You tackle a guy 7 yards upfield, it ain't that great of a, and it's not an impact play. It's not an impact tackle. I think the linebackers, I'm not going to lie, I think they're more versatile.
Well, Kaiser White's on a defense right now that's leading in the NFC West right now, and he's playing really great ball. He's a good player, man. Kaiser's a good player.
He is.
7.5
years as good as Nakobe is right now.
What?
I don't know if he was as good in 22 as Nakobe's been this year.
He had 125 tackles that year.
What's Nakobe got right now?
Oh, he's got a ton. He's on pace for 120.
He's got 76 tackles.
Yeah, he's on pace. He's on pace actually probably with
right
7
around
games.
that. Probably right on the same.
Probably on the screws.
Yeah. I think the defensive line, I think it's a push. No, defensive line's probably a little lesser. I mean, you're not getting sacks like that.
Yeah, no.
I think the interior is good. Jalen Carter.
They might be better against the run.
They're better interior.
They were 16th that year against the run.
Safeties, I think, are the same. I mean, it's basically the same two players.
The only problem I have with this group of safeties, there's just not enough turnovers back there. They're starting to get them now.
Yeah, Reed's got 3 of them. Reed's got 3 picks.
Okay. And Gardner Johnson led the league in interceptions that year, if you remember right. He had 6.
And he's got 2 this year, and then Zach and Nakobe each have 1.
Do you think you have 2 Pro Bowl corners?
I think our cornerback plays better this year. I think Quinyon Mitchell is a severe upgrade from what James Bradbury was.
Do you think Slay is as good as he was in 22 this year?
No, I don't. But at the same time, I don't think the drop-off is as big as someone might think. I don't know how much stock people put in PFF grades, but he's graded very highly. He's not giving up a lot of yards in coverage this year. He makes plays. You're right that he's getting a little banged up, starting to miss some time with injuries here and there, but overall, he's been good. I mean, do I think he's the same player? Probably a little lesser. Do I think it's a drastic drop-off that you have to worry about it? No, I don't.
Again, I told you this. My problem with him is durability right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's more than, by the way, I think he played almost all the snaps at corner last night. So, I mean, that was good. So give the game a grade overall, and not just the quarterback, but overall, what would you say coming away from that game against Washington? It was to grab the lead in the the NFC East, and now you're playing for home field.
Well, let me ask you this before I answer the grading. In one way of answering this, why did the Eagles win last night, in your opinion?
Ran the ball, stopped the run, great defense.
Because I think it's defense. I mean, if you look at that first half,
okay, I didn't put him in order, but yeah, okay.
It shouldn't have been close. Like, you're right. If we got behind in that game, Jalen Hurts was not playing good enough to throw us back in that game.
I thought.
But the way that defense made stop after stop, they kept us in the game all the way through the first half, and it finally broke through in the fourth freaking quarter where we scored 20 of our 26 points.
I thought Washington hung with you for a half, too, until they got worn out.
Washington was better than us the first half. Are you kidding me?
I mean, Washington's defense, for a team that can't play the run, they ran out of gas, Zander, in the third and fourth because, you know why? There were too many 3-and-outs on that offense.
I don't like to toot my own horn, but can I also take a little credit on what I told everybody about this Washington Commanders team?
There's nothing wrong with them.
I never said there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I said they're not there yet. And I need to see it a little bit more. And now you see 2 straight losses. Now they're sitting at 7-4. They're probably on pace for a 10-7, maybe 11-win season.
That'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll make the playoffs. But I told everybody to wait. Everybody was crowning them ahead of the Eagles.
Wait a minute. Going from a football team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 16 years and you win 11 games, that is getting there.
I am correcting the narrative that they were a better team than us in the East.
We still have another game to play.
Yes, we will sweep them this year. I'm very confident in that.
Once again, that's an opinion, but we'll see. Because quite frankly, they hung with you because your quarterback kept them in the ball game.
No, that's true. But we also made Jaden Daniels look like a shell of himself.
He'll play better.
I think you're right. I think it's natural he'll get a little bit better, but I'm not
a lot better. I don't know. I think
we're clearly a better team than Sills.
Oh, no. You have a better roster. Absolutely. The better roster won.
Yeah. We're gonna sweep the NFC East, buddy.
Okay. Look at this. Last year, the pizza dude beat him. Here we are halfway through the race. I love it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong that they have to handle business, but I think right now where they're sitting and what they're doing and what they're building on, I think they're clearly a different football team than they were a year ago.
Okay, well, I don't think you are offensively, but okay, here, and this goes to this one, then we'll get to the super.
Well, you added Saquon. I mean, that's different, bro.
Okay, well, how about this? How do you think the job Kellen Moore's doing?
Not good. Not good at all. Maybe you could argue he's an F. Letting Saquon Barkley destroy defenses does not get you credit, Kellen Moore. You were brought here for one reason.
He's covering for the mistakes in the passing game.
Saquon, honestly, Jalen Hurts and Saquon and Kellen Moore both ought to chip in and buy that man a Christmas gift because that motherfucker is making both of them look better.
Kellen,
right now.
Hey, Kellen needs to buy those guys Rolexes.
Yeah, no, not Kellen. Yeah, Kellen and Jalen ought to buy Saquon a Rolex. I don't think Kellen's been great. I mean, what has he done? Look, I'm not going to criticize him that he's been bad. Our offense is a top 8 offense, but What has he done that Brian Johnson didn't do, other than have a great running back that Howie Roseman brought in? The passing game is
Howie's done more for the offense than what Kellen's done.
well, yeah, he added Saquon Barkley, and he credit to him, he drafted Cam Jurgens. That's one of the things. Real quick, I think that goes way over people's heads. I think in Philly we're so spoiled. If you're another organization and you lose a Hall of Fame center, it takes some teams decades to try and replace that player. I'm not saying we replaced Kelce, but to have a guy that you drafted a couple years ago slot in and we have no drop, like we don't even talk about it. We don't even talk about it. Most teams would lose a center like that, and they'd be trying to deal with that hole on their offense, on their roster for years. They'd make draft picks that would miss. They would sign free agents that would miss. I mean, credit to freaking Howie, credit to Jeff Stoutland for what they've done on that offensive line. And by the way, Howie here too. He lost Fletcher Cox. Same thing. We're not feeling the ramifications of that right now because Jalen Carter is playing lights out. So really good stuff on both of those two signings that we just don't talk about enough. But I do want to go back to your grading question.
I brought that up last night. I think that Jurgens. Remember, and if you remember what I said at the beginning of the season, I predicted him to be a Pro Bowler. He actually, I don't know if he's going to be the All-Pro guy because the guy up in Detroit will probably be the All-Pro guy. But just before you get to the grading here, you know how many centers are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame since 1960, since they opened it?
Can't be too many. 5, 7?
There's 7.
7?
Okay. There's 7 centers. So finding a center back-to-back, to what your point is, it's unprecedented.
Yeah.
You just don't find centers like that where you go from a guy who is going to be Kelce's a first ballot Hall of Fame center. If Kevin
you think he's first ballot?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You think that's aided because of his media prowess?
I do.
Yeah,
but that's okay though, Zander.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking it. Look, I think he's a Hall of Fame player, but I just didn't know if he would. I'd be curious to hear Jason Cole talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he has on the show actually before when Jason retired. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So good for the game. What do you make?
Individually, I'm not going to grade everybody, but just the key components. I think Jalen Hurts was a C-. C- in that game.
Very
I don't
fair.
think he won the game for you. I don't think he lost it for you. And that's what I said about the turnovers. I think overall the offense was probably a B. Anytime you put up over 400 yards of offense, I think you didn't have that bad of a day. Now, a lot of it goes on Saquon Barkley, but I think it's a B. A B is a fair grade. And for the defense, I'm giving them an A, dude. A+. A+. Look, I know he's a rookie quarterback, but ain't nobody was talking about that before this week. We made easy work of that guy. That defense was all over the place. He was seeing shadows, seeing ghosts out there. And they played really good football. So defense going A+, and offense I'm going B. And for the big man himself, Jalen Hurts, I'm going to go C-. I think that's fair.
Brian, I saw the 22. That's why I'm being harsh on him. I saw it already. I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's a tape you could burn.
It's not good. But look, like I said, I'm not saying this is a hill to die on, but I do think it's context worth stating. It's a Thursday night game. It's 3 games in 5 days. It's an NFC East battle.
I'm an opponent.
Yeah, all of these things. Some games in the NFL, dude, they're just not going to be pretty.
And when is the last time you haven't seen a Washington game versus Philly not have drama in it and close?
Yeah.
The games are close, dude.
They always are.
There's no blowouts. When you have those common opponents, like, hey, get this. Do you think it's going to be a clean football game this weekend between Pittsburgh and Baltimore? That's going to be a fist fight.
That's going to be a hell of a game. What time is that on? Do you know?
I think that's a 4:25 game.
Okay, that's not the night game. That's one I got to sit down and watch.
Hey, by the way, I bet you $1 million, Zander, that they flex this Eagle and Washington game either to a Sunday night game or they flex it to an afternoon game because you're going to want to watch that game in Washington.
Why is that a 1 p.m. game right now?
I think so. I think that
God,
game,
that would be tragic for the networks.
I think that's a 1 p.m. ball game right now.
No, it's a 4:25 game.
Oh, okay. They
Yeah.
might flex that to Sunday night football.
They might, but remember that's when you get into battles. CBS isn't going to want to give that game to NBC.
Yeah.
CBS has that game. That's a
CBS has that game.
CBS, they're not going to give that up.
No, they're not going to want to give that thing up.
Unless the NFL forces them to and makes it up to them on the back end. But I don't think they're going to give that game up. But anyway, I'm happy with that being a 4-2-5er. The night games are fun. It was, I don't know if anybody's in here that was with me late into the night last night. Abe, I know you were in there late last night. I
watched your dumbass last night. I was in there watching you last night.
Yeah, you were. We had like 600 people on there till like 3 in the morning.
You went off the end of the
unbelievable,
show,
man. The people were showing out. I had to give them some love back.
You know what I was watching? I want to see what some of these Stonads look like. And so I was watching it, and I wanted to see what some of these folks look like. All right. Hey, let's do these super chats, dude.
Yeah, good stuff, man. By the way, just real quick on your question that you asked me, and I got distracted on it. What do you grade? What do you grade Kellen Moore? What do you make of what he's been to this team?
I think he's a D+. I don't think he's brought anything to the table. I think one thing that they may have done is that I think the blitz recognition has improved a tad.
It's improved a lot from a number standpoint, for sure.
Yes, but the problem that I have is I don't think he thinks he can outcoach Hurts from holding on to that ball too long. And I think the problem, that's why they took the ball. Here, let me rephrase it. They decided to hang more on the running game because him sitting back in the pocket, you're going to lose yardage, man. Somewhere in the sequence of a series, you're going to lose yardage because he is taking sacks right now. So I'd rather get positive yardage right now with Barkley because Barkley's giving me a lot of positive yardage. But when it comes to the routes, I mean, I can't tell if the design of the routes are good. I think they were good early because people didn't know what to look at when they were looking at his offensive schemes. You know what it looks like, man? It looks like he's running the Dallas offense and the Dak Prescott offense for Hurts, and it just doesn't seem to fit. So at the buys, Zander, I think they went back to the 22 style of play, and they got out of that. I think the first 4 weeks they played a Dak offense, and I think the last couple they've played the Shane Steichen offense. That's what it kind of looks like to me.
Yeah, I agree. Would this be crazy to say? And I hope everybody doesn't have an aneurysm in the chat because it's going to sound like I'm critical, but I'm analyzing the game as I see it. Is he a worse passer this year than he was last year?
Here, you're going to get me defended. There's times he throws dimes.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's times.
But throwing a dime isn't the passing game. I'm talking about progression reading, getting the ball out on time. You know, I'm not talking about accuracy on a deep ball. We know Jalen can do that.
I think he's regressed.
I do too. And I'm not saying that to pick on Jalen. I'm saying from what is Kellen added to Jalen's game or to this offense.
I think the passing game has regressed. Now, can I say this? Is that also because a little bit of the injury factors on the Y and Z with Devontae and AJ? That
maybe, yeah. I mean, look, they've been out a little bit.
I mean,
even the games are in there, dude. AJ Brown had 60 yards last night. Devontae Smith had 29 yards.
Think about this too with AJ. I mean, with Devontae. So here's what he's had. You ready? The last 3 games. -14. What did he? I mean, no, -2. 14. What did he have last night?
Who?
Devontae.
I think he had 29, but I'll double check it for you.
Okay. He's had 55 yards in the last 3 games. Dude, you just gave that guy $25 million. He's got 55 yards in 3 games.
Devontae had 4 catches for 29 yards last night.
So he has 55 yards in 3 weeks.
Well, here's what I will say about
I got to do this. I got a -12. Okay, so in theory, he's got 43 yards in 3 weeks.
All right, but here's what I will say. I will say this. All right, on the same breath, where sometimes it does look not so great. His passer rating is way up. His passer rating's up to over 100 this year. It hasn't been. It's been in the 90. I mean, his average for his
I
career
think it
is
was 89 last year.
Yeah, so he's way up in that regard. I had a graphic here that, forgive me, it will be a little outdated after last night's game, but going into last night's game, he was fourth in the NFL in completion percentage at 69.8. I think he completed right around 70% of his passes last night, if I'm not mistaken. 18 of 28. So what was he, 65, somewhere in that range. So that might be a little down. Yards per attempt, 8.4, is fourth in the NFL. Total touchdowns, which includes running, fourth in the NFL. That's not really passer. And his passer rating was 103.4. It's now 101.8, but that was good for fifth in the NFL. So I can't fully say he's regressed in the passing game, but I don't think Kellen Moore has added a dynamic level of passing offense that this team can't live without, or that we thought was coming with Kellen.
Okay, well, don't you believe that volume of passes will make that number a little bit higher too? How many passes did he have last night? 28?
Yeah, 18 to 28.
Okay, in the Dallas game, he had 20.
20. And then 24 in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And 20 in Cincinnati. 16 to 20 in that game.
Okay. So if you look at it, in the last 4 ball games, he's got 92 attempts.
And he only had 14 in the one before that in the Giants game, remember? So
we're talking right now roughly about 20 attempts per game, 21 attempts per game. Yeah. Okay. So you're talking
now,
about,
if you factor in those first 4 weeks, though, he had 38.
Don't you think that raises the quarterback rating too, with lower reps and also lower attempts and more high percentage passes and running the football? So that number, in my opinion, with his quarterback rating being raised, I think it's a misleading number, because they're high volume plays with low turnover opportunities, and he's throwing the ball less. He's not throwing the ball at a clip like the other guys are. I mean, Josh Allen's going to throw the ball this year for 700 attempts.
Yeah, I'm not trying to compare him to them, though. I'm trying to compare him to
I know, but they've tailored back the passing game. And that's what John's big fear was, is that they were tailoring that back. And right now he's averaging about 21 yards or 21 attempts.
He's definitely down a little bit. Like, I think that 2022 number is a better spot than where he was last year. Last year he had 538 attempts, which I think is a little north of where you want to be with him.
Around 445 this year.
And 2022 they were 460. That might include the playoffs, but no, it doesn't.
That's where his sweet spot is, between 445 and 460. You get him over 500, you're going to get more turnovers. They know.
Yeah, but also remember, he did miss 2 games in that 22 year, so that could have been at 500.
But Zander, remember this: they're starting to know who this guy is. How many ball games total now has Jalen Hurts played in now? I mean, as a professional,
72. No, 61 games started.
Okay, 62 ball games he's been in. They know who he is.
61. 42 and 19.
Doug, they know who he is. And
42
now,
and 19, though, Sills. Is that impressive or what?
I'm sorry? Yes.
It is. I mean, I know whatever we want to put it on.
But here, you know what you have to do, though? You do have to validate it with a significant win. And that's the super. Hey, Dan Marino, for all the yards he threw for, get this. Zander, here's a great Dan Marino line. Dan Marino, when he retired, had the most passing yards, had the most completions, had the most attempts when he retired. You know what he has now? None of that. He's nowhere in the system, because you know why? He doesn't have a ring. And you can't validate what he did. So what do you have? Would you rather have records or would you rather have rings?
I'd rather have rings, duh.
Well, again, we're talking about a record here. I'd rather have the rings. If you're Matthew Stafford, who's got an under 500 record, but he's got a Super Bowl ring, who would you rather be, Jalen Hurts or him?
Yeah, no, you want the ring, no doubt.
Let's do the supers, dude.
Good stuff, man. Thanks, everybody, by the way. I got to run soon because I got to get some clips ready for tonight. I'm running out of time here. Alex L checks in. I'm the biggest fan every year. Love this grease ball. I think he's talking about you. I think he's talking about you, grease ball.
Yeah, well, you're a part, so we're in there. All right.
Yeah. After last night, I might be
Thank
a
you,
little
guys.
greasy
Dude,
myself.
I
Keith
mean,
Johnson
hey,
says, great show, guys.
kudos
Keith,
to
thank
you,
you, brother.
dude. You
What's
were like
that?
the 24 hours of Le Mans last night. Way to go.
I love it, man. Abe says, past 5 Super Bowl, the winner passed more than Rush. Is that true, Abe?
Yeah. Yeah. That Kansas City didn't run the ball.
Kansas City, he had like 150 passing yards versus us in the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I remember a team that had a great running attack that won a Super Bowl. But you said it, 16, that was Terrell Davis.
That was more of a defensive performance than a run. I think their running back had
I
like
think
90
Von
yards.
Miller won the MVP that year.
He did. He 100% won the MVP that year.
Okay. Von
Yeah,
Miller.
and I have the rushing stats. They had 90 yards on the ground, 23 carries for 90 yards. C.J. Anderson. That was not 2 fumbles by Peyton Manning, 1 lost, plus an interception, no touchdowns.
Dude,
and they won that game by 2 touchdowns.
Hey, honest to God, and all kidding aside, he was the caboose in that thing.
Yeah.
Manning was the caboose. All right. Any more?
Yeah, we got more. Plenty more. Brian Pumper checks in. Jalen has regressed significantly. The guy's QB mechanics are poor, and his wind-up mirrors a 1950s baseball pitcher. He is stuck in mud.
I will say this, Brian. Besides this, dude, he does have bad feet. I mean, he does not set himself well.
Yeah. Pocket presence is not. I mean, look, even Jalen's biggest fans will tell you that's not his game. He doesn't. He looks uncomfortable when he has to sit in the pocket. That's true. Brian Pumper says, fellas, just peep the all 22. People who preach the book of Hurts look away. Sills and Z, this is a nasty take. I'll be watching that this weekend.
Yeah, we got to watch it, man. You got to go like this. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I know. I saw him
wide open all over.
I wrote down a couple that stood out to me. I don't think I got them all, but I'm getting DMs from people that are mad at what you're talking about Hurts today. I'll have to answer them later and tell them to shut up. DMing me. Sileo said this. Sileo's a grown fucking man, everybody. He's going to say what he wants. Like people saying earlier, how can Zander let Sileo say this? What do you mean? How can he's a grown man. He can say what he wants. He's responsible for what he says.
Oh my
God almighty.
Amen.
All right, but I wrote down a couple of the plays. Missed Barkley in the flat, and I didn't write down like times. I just wrote down a play on my sheet or on my note here. AJ on a comeback route, Goddard on an out on the 3rd down where he overthrew AJ in the end zone. Those were the 4 I wrote down.
Dotson had a drop.
More than that.
Dotson had a drop too.
And Devontae had a bad drop.
Yeah. Okay.
Devon says Dean didn't even start at first and has that many tackles. Did Dean not start? I thought Dean started.
He started the whole season, guy. Bullshit. Fake news. Move on.
Des says that Bond hit got me up off the couch. Yeah, me too, Des.
Dude, he knocked the fucking shit out of him, man.
Yeah, I thought Jaden Daniels might have got hurt when I first saw it.
He ripped him a new one, man. Welcome to the NFL, son.
Yes, welcome. Welcome to the Zach Bond land. Jalen checks in. Russell Wilson in 2014 Super Bowl with Marshawn Lynch won 43-8 over Manning, 15 completions and 25 attempts, 205 and 0 turnovers. That's what I'd like to see from Hurts. No turnovers.
Okay.
Manage the game.
15-25, 205. Okay, that's a damn good game in a Super Bowl. No turnovers.
Well, that's what Hurts was last night. 18-28, 230. No turnovers.
I know you're not saying, though, you thought that was a good performance.
No, I'm saying, though, our team is good enough to overcome Jalen not playing elite. That's what I'm saying.
And I think what Jalen is doing here, I think he's making the comparison that all you need from Russell Wilson is the 15-25, but Marshawn Lynch clearly was the catalyst in that Seattle team. There's no doubt Russell Wilson was not the engine in that. Lynch was the engine in them 2 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah, no doubt. Harv says, if I'm going to nitpick, I think teams will exploit the lack of ability for the linebackers to cover the tight ends and running backs consistently.
They're getting better, though. They're getting better. That is still an issue, Harv.
He said it's a nitpick. He's nitpicking,
yeah,
but okay, I think it's been a little better than expected, Harv, honestly.
They're getting better.
Yeah, Blaze checks in. How you say Hurts won't make it to a Super Bowl, but then say he's on pace for the same numbers as 22? Didn't he go to the Super Bowl? Was Barkley there? He's not wrong.
Bet Blaze. that 22, he's not playing like he did in 22 right now.
No, he's not. Personally, he's not. I think our team's better than that's part of my projection.
He's not.
He's not playing as good as 22 though. Stop. Everybody knows that. He was an unreal player in 22. He had Sileo coming on the show holy shit. That guy yes, I remember some of your shows and when we talked about. I mean, he was a special player in 22. He hasn't quite got back to that yet.
Yep, no, he was.
Harv says, I really love the discipline of the defensive line. Made a huge difference last night. They are playing the edges are setting better. Jalen Carter's disciplined in the middle. Good take by Harv.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Wilson, appreciate all the super chats. By the way, you guys have been absolutely fucking electric. So when Sil says, "Why you going all night?" That's why, because the people of JAKIB Nation are showing out.
He's bitching about my Corona comment in the back window.
Yeah.
That's what
it's like we're like making our hay. The 17 days of the year.
Hey,
Sileo messaging.
You guys giving me shit last night because I'm like, "Where's my?"
I need a Corona. All right, dude. And Corona.
What a bitch.
Anthony Wilson says, Manning, Young, Stafford, 30s, Montana, Favre, Brady, late 20s. Jalen's only 26. Relax, Dan. Only Mahomes wins Super Bowls early in his 20s. Let him develop. You may disagree, but facts are facts.
Brady won a Super Bowl in his third year.
Yeah, well, Brady and Manning or Brady and Mahomes are the two outliers, though.
Okay, I mean, he won a Super Bowl his third season.
And how did Brady win early in his career?
Oh, wait a minute. Can you name the running back?
No, I can't. I'm not. I don't. I think that was.
I believe it was Corey Dillon.
Let's look it up. Let's look up how Brady played in that soccer. He led the Patriots to a 2017 victory over the
Rams.
LA Rams. Yep. So what was that? 2002.
That might have been Lamont Smith running the ball.
Yeah, this was Brady's first Super Bowl. Let's look at the stats, shall we?
That's the drive he led the team.
Yeah, Brady was 16 of 27 for 145 and a touchdown.
Remember what he did in that game? It was a minute left in the ball game, and he led an 80-yard drive to a field goal, and Vinatieri kicked it, and they won.
Yeah. Antoine Smith was the running
back. Antoine Smith.
Yeah.
So wait, Antoine Smith and Saquon Barkley? Oh, okay. Hey, nice look up.
Blaze says, people look up how many times Hurts led a comeback because you clearly don't know. He's led some comebacks, but Blaze, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and you're defending the guy, which
Blaze, I don't, because you know why? You're just ignoring your eyes.
Yeah, look, I think I always I got to remind everybody, guys, we're not doing a 20-minute segment a day where we can give you the peaches and cream of what happened. We sit up here and we talk for hours. You're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're not ready to admit that there was some ugly last night, I don't think that's a reflection of us. I'm sorry. It's just not. I mean, you talk about football games. There's things that are good. There's things that are not so good. We're going to talk about them all. I don't whether you like it or not.
The two things were good last night was the fact that you took care of business and you took control of the NFC East. And by the way, nowhere today have I said that wasn't a quality win and a takeaway game. That was a 100% takeaway football game last night. And by the way, 100% takeaway in everything.
I like this guy. He says football is ugly. I agree. Look at him. He's got a football picture. He might be a young player right now. I agree with you, brother. Football. Maybe we got to get back to that.
No, if football, you like football ugly, you got the right cab driver.
Well, maybe. Backhanded fucking compliment from Sileo. I like when football's ugly. Prince says Jalen had 3 turnovers in Green Bay, led them down the field for the winning drive, making key passes to Smitty and running for the first. Boom.
There you go, Prince. You're right. He's playing great.
Goff won that Jared Goff won that game from the defense, 3 picks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I know.
Still sing the fight song so I can give him credit. He already did it, brother. Did it twice today.
Twice, actually. I had to. I hate making
Schmidt Diggler. I like that name. Don't you like that name? Schmidt Diggler.
Yeah. Great porn name.
Jalen Hurts has more time than any other quarterback, and he manufactures his own pressure. We need him to actually work on throwing the ball and running less.
Well, here.
I don't agree.
No,
run him. Run him.
Hey,
we win football games when Jalen uses his legs.
Schmidt, I'm sick of training wheels, and I'm sick of on-the-job training. Okay, the guy does one thing well: run the ball. He you know what he is? He's more of what do you call those guys? Those dual threat dudes. But what's the quarterbacks back in the day? They used to run a really weird offense down on the goal line down there. Come on, man.
Let's keep rolling.
Dude, we got a lot of supers today.
I know, man. Crazy. Thanks, everybody. Anthony Wilson. Hurts is not playing well, but he has 5 different receivers that will have over 500 yards this season. Sills, you did say spread the wealth. Yeah, he's got to because the guys were out, dude. I mean, there was guys out.
That's right. He's a wildcat. He's
not.
best.
Yeah, Anthony. I agree with you more than you agree with Sileo, but I don't agree with what you're saying there. I mean,
hey,
Hurts isn't spreading the ball too much on any
around.
given game. Yeah, he's not.
Can you name the third wideout? Hey, by the way,
John Dotson's under 100 yards in 10 games.
He's the best wildcat quarterback I've ever seen.
My sleep is catching up with me, Matt.
Come on, man. Finish him up, man. Show me some nuggets here.
My whoop hollered at me this morning. It's like, you got 2 hours and 44 minutes. You should get some rest. I said, fuck you. Birds got to win. Devon, we got them all, I think. We got them all.
You dropped that F-bomb as good as anybody I've ever grown up with.
I love it. I love a little F-bombs on the shows. Not for everybody, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, well, guess what? Man up.
Yeah,
It's my boy Dick Train. Hey, Zander, great debate, great stuff.
I won.
You won. You won because the team won. He stinks last night. He stunk. You get this. He's taking a victory lap for a guy who stunk last night. Great. Congratulations to you. You get this. He outplayed a guy who stunk too. There you go. Way to go.
Here, we got more.
There's a couple more too, we ran in the first half compared to the second half. We stink in the first half. Let's be honest. Yeah, no, you're the worst first quarter NFL football team in the league.
Wait, we got a couple more. I missed them. I didn't see him come in.
Oh, okay.
Brian says Jalen is a bus rider, not a bus driver, but his fans love to slurp him at all costs. These dudes make me sick. Brian, I don't make you sick, do I? I think I'm pretty fair.
Hey, he's a bus rider, like Barkley says. That's right. Hey, there's certain guys who drive the bus, or certain guys who ride on the bus. Hurts is a guy who rides on the bus.
This motherfucker, man. You know the best is when Pumper puts a super chat on the Birds 365, and I read it to John, and John's like looking for a real football take or a genuine question, and Brian's like, Jalen Hurts' aura is impeccable, and I'm like, oh my god, it's hilarious.
John doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about.
Jalen says Lynch changed Seahawks like Barkley for Eagles.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
This team is ready for a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is way behind. Wish he wasn't a horrific quarterback because this team would win with a Brad Johnson.
God, he brings a Brad Johnson reference in.
A
man.
Brad fucking Johnson. Nick Marchetti
God.
Says Barkley's NFL MVP right now.
I'll tell you what, I don't know why he shouldn't be in that conversation. It just shouldn't be in quarterback award. Absolutely, man. Hey, get the hell out of here, will you please? You're making me sick watching you yawn over there. I know you've been up for 23 hours.
No, okay? You're right. There's no fucking excuses. There's no excuses.
Yeah. Come on, man. You're making
it's hot garbage. You can call me out on that.
Hey, man, listen. We had a great night and day.
Yeah, we did, man.
Guys, and we can't do this without you, man. I appreciate it. Well, wait, I could do
it. This team's going to the Super Bowl.
What? How'd they get in there?
What do you mean?
Driving a bus or something? Or what are you doing? Buying tickets for him?
Saquon Barkley's driving the bus.
Sills, how about those Eagles? Absolutely great win last night.
We're going to a Super Bowl.
Going to Super Bowl. If you go to a Super Bowl, you're buying a ticket. You ain't getting there by playing yourself in there. You ain't going to Super Bowl this year. You're not going to the Super Bowl. You're lucky if you make it to the NFC Championship game.
We're going to the Super Bowl. My gut doesn't lie to me. My instinct is
Zander.
Near perfect.
Zander.
I'm 9-1.
Zander,
I'm 9-1 on Eagles predictions.
Get by Baker Mayfield first. Okay.
9-1 on predictions.
Smell a dynasty. Dynasties win Super Bowls, dude. They don't win NFC East games and call themselves dynasties. Dynasty? Hey, Dream Green. Philadelphia's never had a dynasty but one, the Flyers. Okay? Back-to-back. You've never had a back-to-back championship in all 4 majors. You're a dynasty?
Yo, I got to go. I got some work to do, all right? Holy shit, man.
Look how red his eyes. I know. I thought he was smoking. Look at you guys dropping these supers in here, man.
Yeah, it's massive love, bro. Devontae, look at his eyes. Xander's a warrior.
Xander's a warrior.
We're just talking football. I appreciate you, though.
Larry
Hawk, still taking Wagner over Bond.
Bobby Wagner is a Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the only way Bond goes to the Hall of Fame is if he's putting the gold jacket on Bobby Wagner. So let's not kid yourself here. I'll tell you what, Larry. I'll bet you. I'll figure out what to bet you. I bet you Bobby Wagner makes first team All-Pro this year. I bet you Zach Bond doesn't.
Well, you know why that is. You explained why.
I didn't. No, well, I'm just telling you.
All right, let me run.
All right, get out of here, man. Great
Good
stuff,
show,
Xander.
man. Yo, great show this week. Thanks, everybody in the chat, man. You guys are the best.
Absolutely, Xander. Great stuff. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit that like button. Guys have been absolutely fantastic. Hit that like button. Keep it International Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.